Okay, good evening, everyone. Today is July the 25th, 2023. Dear most gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, God, for another opportunity of prayer. We thank you, God, for allowing us to see another day, oh God. We just thank you, God, for your mercy, your grace, your love. We ask you, God, that you will bless this broadcast as well as my guests and the viewers as well. Just help us to educate, enlighten, and bring awareness to different situations, oh God. And we ask you, God, that you would just be with us and continue to protect us, Father.
Thank
We
you.
ask all these things in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Good evening, everyone. Let me make sure that it says that we're live. I'm still trying to get used to this new platform. Okay, I see that we are. All right. Live on Facebook. Let's see. Show. Happy Born Day to everybody that celebrated this past week. Anniversaries, condolences to those that have lost loved ones. I want to ask that everybody keep the Brisbane family in prayer, whatever they're going through. We don't need to know particulars, just know that their prayer is needed. Keep the Hansford family in prayer, as my sister lost her dad, uh, and everybody that's just going through. We ask you that you be mindful and prayerful of those in your personal prayer time, and just keep them, mention their name before the throne of grace. Um, Of course, there was some other things can't think of it right now, but it's all good. Uh, okay, we on there too. And last but not least, let me see YouTube. And while I'm doing that, I can go ahead and introduce tonight's guest. Tonight's guest is a return guest. We had her on last year. It's been too long since we did it again. Actually, the follow-up show. But tonight we're going to be talking about autism with Miss Rochelle Ducker. And it's a delight to have you here, Rochelle. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the people and tell them about yourself?
Hello, everybody. My name is Rochelle. I am a single parent of an autistic son. My son has Asperger's syndrome, which is just a high functioning form of autism. I just graduated from Southern New Hampshire University, studying psychology with my bachelor's, and I'll be headed back for my master's this fall.
Cool. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I do remember you reaching out to me. You saying that you're at school, and then when I reached out to you this time, you said, "Well, I'm available any Tuesday." I said, "I forgot we got another grad."
Yeah, it was tough towards the end. Oh Lord, I'm telling you, with all the papers and the submitting slides, and I had to get my son to help me with that computer stuff. So it was a challenge.
Going to that while you there on the challenge of dealing being a parent to a child with autism, but still not letting that hinder you and accomplishing your personal goals, and that challenge of balancing the time between being a mother, being a student.
Yes,
That like
it is a challenge, especially he was in school as well, and it was a challenge for him. He just graduated from high school. He'll be starting college in a few weeks. Actually, he'll be going to Southern New Hampshire as well. So all that and trying to accomplish my degree, it was a challenge, but he actually made it easier for me. My son cooked every night so I can do my schoolwork. Did most of the chores in the house. He won't even let me touch the laundry. That's his thing. I guess I don't do it right, but but he made it easier for me.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like that's all right, Mr. Tevin. Shout out to Mr. Tevin, man.
Downstairs cooking as we speak right now some baked ziti.
Okay. So I was watching a little bit of writing notes, but I've been so busy every day preparing for this trip. Um, Jersey, I'll be home this weekend, so Y'all holler at your boy. Come on out to the Lincoln Park Music Festival. And those that are watching, I see some people in here watching it. Make sure you guys add to the comments so I know who's out here. I want to see if the comments is transferring to this platform correctly or properly. But let's go into that a little bit. Tevin has Asperger's, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that a little bit. What exactly is Asperger's?
So Asperger's is, like I said, it's a higher functioning form of autism. It falls in the spectrum. So what his, I guess if you call it a disability, it would be social cues. So let's say you come up to somebody, you just not feeling them, you would walk away. If you could feel like their body language is not, you know, inviting, and they just feel like they just don't want to be bothered, instead of him feeling that tension, he'll keep on with the conversation. He'll keep, trying to get you to engage into the conversation. He won't back off until you tell him, look, I'm not feeling it, just leave me alone. But with counseling and therapy and some life skills, he'll be able to pick up on those things. And it's good to start them young in counseling. But you also have to be aware of certain symptoms. And I hate to say it like that because it's not like it's a physical disability. And it's not so much of a mental, it's just a rewiring of the brain. So we may think that the cup is half full. He's like, it's half empty. So it's just the way they think. It's just different. But I started noticing little things when he was in middle school. Like he wasn't um, kind of getting along with some of the other students. Like he would do things differently. I noticed that he would look at you differently. His eyes would be wide open and he would just, stare at you. He wouldn't break it. That was another symptom. Tevin is incredibly smart to a fault, to where he can get me into some trouble when he was younger. And that was another sign. He was really good with electronics. He was rerouting certain codes in the school so he can break certain codes and firewalls in the school. He was just getting in trouble in those kind of ways. And I just thought he was just being mischievous. I noticed that it took him a little longer to walk when he was an infant. It took him a little longer to potty train. And I noticed that he would not comprehend things as quick as a child without autism will comprehend certain things. But then there were other things he would pick up on like that. So I just thought he was just being typical Tevin. And I didn't think nothing of it until one of my best friends, she kind of knows the signs and symptoms. And she said, you need to get him evaluated. Once we did that with the school and child psychologist, they told me that his IQ was off the charts. It was like a 140 or something like that. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. But then they said, well, he's lacking this, 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 and this. So it was mostly social cues, relating to peers of his age. He would always want to be around somebody older. Like he could relate to somebody that was 20 years older than him. Or he would want to be with somebody that was 10 years younger than he was. It was never with somebody that was his age. He just couldn't relate to him. So it was little things like that.
Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things that I forgot to write down that I wanted to mention or bring up tonight too was like parents out there,
Mm.
aunts, uncles, grandparents, family, friends, whatever the case may be. Let's not be ashamed of getting our children tested. I think that that's a very big part of it. A lot of times we could be in denial. No, not my child. There's nothing wrong with them. A late bloomer, whatever the case may be. Let's get out of that mindset.
Mm.
If this is anything, which is not, might not be some at times. Let's get in that mindset of the earlier that we find it, the easier it is.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to get him tested. It
Yeah,
just you know, if they're not, God bless you. If they are, then we got to start putting in some work. Okay, what's the next step we need to take? What's the game plan? What
Right.
can and he cannot do, or she can or cannot do? Also, look into vitamins. During school, I was doing research on autism as an assignment, and one of the key things that people don't mention is vitamin D during the first trimester of pregnancy. Almost everybody is vitamin D deficient. We're not getting that much vitamin D from the sun. But what doctors neglect to tell mothers or to advise mothers uh, is to get a vitamin D panel done. Vitamin D can aid in the prevention of autism. And it's amazing what vitamin D does. But I know new mothers, they go in, they get their prenatal vitamins, and they think everything is in that one little pill. Well, it's not. They have to get it separate. Vitamin D in a prenatal vitamin is only 400 units. For a mother that is vitamin D deficient, she needs at least 2,000 to 5,000 units daily. After pregnancy, she can do higher, like 50,000 units. But most likely, if that mother is vitamin D deficient, the baby is going to be vitamin D deficient, which means that there is not a good production of brain growth and development. The inflammatory markers are not being protected by the vitamin D. This stuff will lead to autism. It's not written in stone that this is like a cure to prevent autism, but it is very high likely that it's like 75%. If you introduce vitamin D in your first trimester of pregnancy, you can prevent severe autism. And that's like, the children that may be nonverbal, they're catatonic, or they're doing things repeatedly and things like that.
Hmm.
So that is something to really take into consideration when you find out that you're pregnant. Go and take a vitamin D panel test. You ask your obstetrician, because they are not going to offer it to you. They're
Hmm.
just going to give you a prenatal vitamin.
Right. That's out there watching on YouTube. Um, what's this comment say? I don't like black people. Why do black people should we euthanize people with autism since they won't create more? Why do black people with autism make up 80% of violent crimes, even though they're only 13% of autistics? Tuck your lips in when there's white people watching your show. Okay, so sir, first of all, only cowards do this uh comment and all that did with no name up. Second of all, you can tuck your mother lips in and you can remove yourself from my live feed.
Oh my lord.
Glad. Thanks for the heads up though. At least I know that the comments is on and that they're working. But you are now dismissed, sir. You have a good
Wow.
you have a good evening, and yes, you are banned. Um,
Unbelievable.
yo, I say I like this. I like this live thing here because it might bring out some other sides of me.
Oh my goodness.
Like, are you serious? You know what I'm saying? You gonna make comments like that and don't even have your name up? That's
Coward.
um yeah. So with the testing, at what point did you get Tevin tested?
It was in middle school because he was having such a hard time. And I think with any child in middle school, you're trying to fit in, you're trying to, meet people, you're trying to find somebody that has the same interest. But he just had the hardest time. He got jumped by three boys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he wasn't focusing in class. They knew something wasn't quite right with Tevin with retaining information, but they couldn't put him in a special ed class because he knew the work. He made high grades.
Gotcha.
So I finally just broke down because I was in denial. I didn't want to think anything was wrong with my child. I didn't want to put that label on him because it sticks with you for the rest of your life, and
Yeah.
people look at you funny. So I just broke down, got him evaluated by the child psychologist of the county. They come into the school, they monitor him while he's working, um, kind of follow him around, but they don't really make themselves known so he doesn't act out in any kind of way or try to pretend to be something else. And they came back with all this data from the teachers, and they were like, well, he's showing a little bit like he's on the spectrum, but they couldn't pinpoint what it was. So I got him set up with a therapist, and he still speaks with her to this day since middle school. They're like family now. And she said he has Asperger's because he's lacking this kind of thing and he's lacking this, but he's like incredibly intelligent. So everything just fell in between that. Like he was a messy eater. And I'm like, okay, he's a boy. He's a messy eater. What does that have to do with it? I'm like, I think you people are just making up stuff so you could put him in a category. But I was really close minded to everything because I did not want that label. And if we can just get off of that label, I think we can help more children. So what? Autism, whatever, Asperger's, whatever. Okay, my child thinks differently. That's how I look at it now. Um, but since middle school, we've just been getting him the help that he needs, and he has grown. I mean, he's blown my mind, and I don't think I would have seen the growth in him. First and foremost, without God and God leading and guiding us and putting people in place in our lives to say, "Hey, go get him checked out." And then just the support from family and church family. He's made so many strides in life. So mothers that if you have a child that's showing to be a little different, go ahead and get them checked out. Not going to hurt. If you find out that they are on the spectrum, get that counseling. It's covered. If you have Medicaid, if you don't have Medicaid, get Medicaid. It's for everybody. Medicaid pays for everything, almost everything, but it will pay for counseling for your child. Counseling is very expensive. It's probably about maybe $150 to $400 a pop for your session. So get that help is out there. There are communities that aid to autism. They give you scholarships. They give you health care. They give you food stamps. They give you all kind of aid. So it's out there. Don't be ashamed. Get the help.
Yeah. And that's part of anything, not just speaking of autism. I think whether you're talking about alcoholism, whether you're talking about
Yeah, definitely.
abuse, drug addiction, whatever it may be, anger issues, whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
the first obstacle that you must overcome is accepting the fact that you may
Yeah,
need help, and it's such a mental aspect component to it. But I think a lot of times, I think a lot of situations and things could be avoided if we would get out of that mindset, because that's exactly what it is a mindset. Why do we
exactly.
that is something wrong because you need help? You know what I mean? And I think that's something that we, especially within our community. Hey, what's good, Toshiba?
Yeah,
Thanks for coming in as usual. Um, but yeah, that's very monumental. And you talked about your faith, how much your faith got you through this. Like, do you think that it would have been that much more difficult without being a believer?
I think so. I think so because I think I would have still been in denial, and then I think I would have been maybe bitter because you don't want anything to be wrong with your child. You want your child to be smart as a whip. You want them to be like He-Man. Nothing can stop them. They're going to be successful. They're going to make their name stick out in the world, and you don't want anything to stop it. You want your child to be better than you were. I mean, it was at one point I was questioning, like, what did I do wrong? Because I'm thinking, okay, maybe I didn't eat the right things when I was pregnant. Maybe I rocked him a little too hard or something. Like I was thinking of anything that I could have done differently to make this diagnosis go away, or, you know, it was all my fault. But through prayer God leading me, God putting those people in my life. I see that it was nothing that I could have done. Now, I could have taken more vitamin D if I knew at that time to lessen the symptoms, but it's not your fault. It's not the mother's fault. It just happens.
Mhm.
And you don't deal with it, you work with it. It's not something that you deal with. This is your child. You love your child. So okay, we're going to work a little differently now. Okay, instead of maybe spanking you, because I would spank my son and he's like, "What you do that for?" I'm like, "Dang, do you feel it?" No. Can I go play? I'm like, he wouldn't, he wouldn't think that was a punishment. He's like, "Oh, she mad. She hit me. Okay, bye." And then go back to playing. Okay, now I have to think differently. Okay, let me take that game away from you. He would fall on the floor. It was like taking his soul away. So I know that spanking a child, and I hear a lot of our people
Mhm.
say, "Oh, spank it out of him. He's just bad." That is not it. Maybe there is something wrong.
Mhm.
Like ADHD, a lot of our people don't believe in ADHD. It's real.
Absolutely is real.
It's
Absolutely.
real. They're like, "Oh, he's a bad boy. Gee, he just needs to sit down and spank him." That's not the answer.
Mhm.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
Why can't he sit down? Why can't he be still? Why is he fidgety? Why is he nervous? Why is he anxious? Something's going on. Let's get it checked out. That is the major thing that's holding us back from making sure that our kids succeed.
Mhm.
And it messes with them when they get older. I see patients every day that are in college, they can't function because they didn't get the help that they were supposed to get when they were younger. So
Gotcha.
when you start young, I'm telling you, it makes a world of difference.
Yeah, I can only imagine because, like, I always tell people, I'm not trying to claim nothing, but I used to be like, man, if they did testing like this back when I was younger, I would quite sure I would have some letters, AHD, OD, OCD, some
Oh,
like some kind of letters attached, and it would probably help me explain why my thought process like it is, why I react to stuff like I do, why my highs are highs, my lows are lows. Like, but
mhm,
that testing and stuff wasn't available to us at the same pace as it is available to this generation now. And there's nothing wrong with actually, like you said, getting tested for whatever it may be. Even adults, even the people that's out here
yeah,
watching, there's nothing wrong with going to see a therapist. There's nothing going wrong
that's
talking
what we're here
to somebody,
for.
yeah, to find out exactly why it is. It may be something that's stunning your growth as an adult,
Hmm.
that talking to them that you can't even remember, that you have suppressed, is buried so deep that you have no recollection of why you feel the way that you do about certain things. And
Exactly.
to a therapist, they can help undiscover that there. Sometimes I'm just talking to different friends and I reevaluate situations and thank God prayerfully, like some of these things, like, oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that in 35 years. And maybe that explains why X,
Why
Y, Z.
you do certain things, or why you stay away from certain things, or
Exactly.
yeah, definitely. I today I met a patient and she told me that her nephew is autistic and he's high functioning, but the mother is stunning his growth. So he's 9 years old. She is literally feeding him. Like she'll dip the nugget in the sauce and feed it to him. He has no disabilities. He can use his hands, his legs. He's a looks like a normal boy.
Wow. At
Just
9 years
normal
old.
was a thing. And she is stifling his growth because he has the diagnosis of autism. Most likely he has Asperger's syndrome because from what she was describing. But we have to think about it like this. And I tell my son this all the time. I'm not going to always be here.
Mhm.
You're going to have to learn how to take care of yourself. You're going to have to learn how to be independent. You're going to have to learn to be that head of the house, that man of God that you were created to be. You got to learn now. I
Yeah.
can't do everything for you. So that's another thing I wanted to bring up. Please let your children explore and grow. Your child want to learn how to cook. Let him go in the kitchen. Let her go in the kitchen. Let her watch you. Let her
Mhm.
stir the eggs. Start with eggs. That's the easiest thing. I think we all started with making eggs. Let him
Mhm.
make, it's a huge accomplishment. You monitor him. My son was 9 years old when he was letting himself in the house by himself. He would go in the house, make sure he locked the house up, call me. He's in the house, make his food, do his homework, and wait until I got there. Don't open the door for anybody. You have to train him. You cannot say, no, they can't do this. No, they can't do that. No, they can't do that. No, let them do it. Let them explore. Let them clean their rooms. Don't do stuff like that for them because it's going to be more your burden than theirs.
Mhm.
And they're going to grow up, and God forbid you're not there. Nobody's going to take care of your baby the way you do.
Now, again, not trying to speak anything to existence, but how does something like that work? You're a parent or you're the provider, the caregiver for Tevin, and you meet an early demise. Like, how are things set up to make sure? Like, does the state come and take over? If
No,
they
no.
one,
Well, I
it,
think the state would only take over if he was very low functioning. So
mm,
then he would have to go into like a group home or something like that. But Tevin can basically live on his own. Um, like I said, he cooks, cleans. He's right now looking for full time employment. He's going to college, so he can be independent.
okay.
Somebody that is less functioning, yeah, unfortunately, they may would have to live with another family member, or they would have to go into a group home.
Now, well, I guess what I'm asking is like, how is that? How or who gets to determine that in case the situation like that happens? Like, is it the
Well,
family that
you
makes the call? Do they automatically get tested to see if they're low functioning, high functioning? Like, how does that work?
prayerfully, there's family around that can say, I can't take care of them or I can take care of them. I really don't know how that would work because, God forbid, if I was to pass away, he probably would need to be evaluated. In Tevin's case, he's set because I made sure that he would be set. He has godparents. He has actually two sets of godparents.
Okay,
So everything is written in his name.
okay.
And that's another important thing to do. I know it sounds morbid and you're young, but make a living will and testimony because it makes things a lot easier. Like I
Mhm.
said, I could be going to work tomorrow and get into a car crash, God forbid. You want to make sure that all your stuff is in order, especially if you have a child that is low functioning. So if you have documents like that, they know exactly what to do for that child. If there is no living relative, then they can make that determination. Well, he needs to go into a group home, or he would need to be in assisted living. But one way to avoid that, if you do not want your child in the system, make that will and testament.
Yeah, and that goes for
Yeah,
anything
for anybody.
yeah, autism or not. Like, because like you said, don't be afraid to let them try cooking and stuff. I know people that don't have autism will burn your kitchen down. So,
Kevin's first Tevin's first meal that he cooked was in the microwave, and he said, "Mom, I'm gonna go make fish sticks." I'm like, "Okay, go ahead, make fish sticks." I said, "Tevin, just put it on 1 minute." He put it on 10. I'm telling you, Lord, it smelled like burnt plastic fish in the house for like a week. Uh, okay, now let's monitor you. Okay, that was an oopsie. We'll learn from that. He was like, I'm sorry. But after that, he got the hang of it. Just let them do it. It's going to happen. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to burn stuff. Hopefully, not your house, but they have to learn. Just like we learn, our parents taught us, they have to learn.
mhm. Now we said that he has Asperger, which means that there has to be other variations. What are some of those that you know of, and like what are the differences?
Um, I know there's something called echolalia, and that's basically when a child they're verbal, but they keep repeating themselves. So that's considered low functioning. They may have like a little rock to them, something like that. Then there's nonverbal. That's severe low functioning autism, and they're basically not in a catatonic state, but they may do a lot of fidgeting with their hands. They may rock back and forth. They may grunt. or something like that. I'm not sure. The spectrum is so wide, and it
Mhm.
just gets wider every day. So there's so many names out there. So we just stick with autism and then see what end of the spectrum they're on.
Gotcha. Now, Tourette syndrome, that doesn't have anything to do with autism, does it?
Yeah. Mm-mm. No.
That's something totally different. And that's why I say like sometimes it could be different things. I remember watching a documentary on Mahmoud Raouf, a basketball player, formerly known as Chris Jackson, before he converted his faith to Islam.
Mm.
And he was talking about that how being in the NBA, a lot of people didn't understand because he had the inadvertent taking, you know
Yeah.
he had to keep on constantly doing all these different things over, and just that difficulty, like you said, of growing up with that there, kids teasing you, you don't
Hmm.
know what's wrong with you, but your body is aching for no reason, and
Yeah,
you
and you have no control over it.
absolutely like no control whatsoever. And it's like shout out to everybody that's dealing with something. Um, shout out to all of us really because all of us are dealing with
Yeah,
something.
we all have little hangups and little flaws. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah,
That's why, I hate when they try to put people with certain disabilities in a box,
yeah,
because then we all need to be in that box.
hmm
There's all of us deal with something. It could be depression, it can be anxiety, it can be a phobia. I mean, we all have something that we need to work on.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree with that, and I believe that some things are what I call consider a you issue. Like I was having a conversation years ago when I had the conversation again recently with someone, and I asked him. I said, "Do you So let me ask you something." I said, "Do you find me intimidating?" And their response was, "Nah, you just got a unique approach about how you go about things." And I'm like, "That's not like a polite way of saying
Yes,
that
saying that you're intimidating.
I'm intimidated." And I'm like, and I always look at it like, um, that's a you issue because your perception of me does not make that my reality, right?
Yeah,
Like if I might be vocal, I might be whatever. I'm not God. I'm not 100% right all the time. I have no problem at all admitting that I don't know everything. But
exactly.
if it come across in my delivery, like, oh my goodness, I don't even want to go back and forth with him, then that's something that's internal. That's a you issue.
That's not me. That's you.
Yeah, that has nothing on
I,
it.
when I moved to South Carolina, my accent, I guess, because I didn't see that I had an accent, was so deep. I'm like, y'all country bumpkins, and
Yeah, yeah.
like, oh my gosh, she's from New York. Oh my gosh, you just sound so hard. I'm like, me? Because I say quarter, daughter, water. They're like, say it again. I'm like, oh Lord. But just the way you speak, people think the worst of you. So that is a you problem,
Yeah.
not us. I mean, I had it deep too. I'm like, yes, son, what's going on? Like, how you doing? And they're like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I won't talk to her. I'm like,
And that's the thing, like, oh, excuse me. Some things are you issues, but then there are some things that we can work on collectively and together. But things like that there, I used to always tease my cousins and stuff in the South too. Like, first of all, I'm not the one with the accent. If
exactly,
you watch TV, when you watch the local news from a New York station or a big city, who they sound more like, me or you?
exactly,
You're
exactly.
the one with the accent,
I'm
not
like,
me.
you're the one with the twang, not me. Now I have to catch myself. I'm like, y'all. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm about to say, what is it? Do you ever go back home? Do you ever go back to New York?
No, I went for my brother's wedding and I said, I'm not coming back. I don't want to go back. Just entering Queens, I was like, oh gosh.
Now I see why I left.
So she would say, you both have it's been what, like 15, 16 years since I've been down here. So yeah, I catch myself even when I'm yelling at myself. I'm like, "You better get your butt down here now." I'm like, "Oh."
because we definitely do it. I know I catch myself sometimes, especially like when I watch the playback or the shows, or I could be saying something live doing the show. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my god, in my head, I'm like, that sounded mad country, bro.
I'm like, I need to talk to somebody from New York. Somebody talk to me
Exactly, quick.
real quick. I'm
And it's
losing
funny
myself.
because people always down here always talk about us having an accent, but then that reason I asked you that you go home, because when I go home, it's like, man, you done got country, bro. Wait, what you
Yeah.
doing?
I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah. You don't even hear how you change it. You say sometimes when you get excited, you say, and then something might last a little longer than normal.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I have adapted. I might
I'm
be a
like,
little.
oh no. I need to watch something on TV from Queens or something. I'm like, let me go watch Power or something. I need my accent back.
It's funny that you would even say that because my brother won't even watch Power with the Raising Canaan just for the simple fact, like, and we don't know this to be true, but we always be like, he won't watch it because of Raquel accent, and I'm like,
Oh,
I think that's a 50 thing because some people from Queens do it, but it seemed like 50 made that because I've seen the actress that portrays that and other things, so it's
mhm.
definitely an acting skill that she has, but
Yep.
I think 50 went over the top to make
Oh
sure
yeah.
like, he
Oh
might
yeah.
overdid a little bit than everybody else in Queens. You know what I'm saying? Be
I'm
like,
like, but I do. I'm like, I have to look at certain things that are like made in Queens, based in Queens, and then I notice when I come back to work, I'm like, yeah, what's up? How you
mm,
doing? Yeah, all right. Let's do this. And they're like, oh, she must have went home.
yeah,
No,
it's a beautiful thing. Um, so where are you now? Are you still in South Carolina?
I'm in South Carolina. I
Okay.
will be staying in South Carolina until God moves me because I am not going back up north. Uh,
Go there. What is it about South Carolina that you love? Because I absolutely can't stand the state of South Carolina. I try not to even ride through South Carolina if I can avoid it.
Really?
But
Well, I've
like, it's
always loved South Carolina. My dad was born and raised here.
mm,
So he would bring us here like almost every summer to visit family. And I just fell in love with it. It was like the air was cleaner. People
mm,
would just talk to you. You didn't know who they were. And then you just, hi, hi, everybody. And, they're like, how you doing? I'm like, who's that, daddy? He's like, just say hi. But it was just so much friendlier and better. And then on the ride back home, and then you enter Queens and you're on that bridge, you're like, I don't want to be here. I
yeah,
don't want to be here. But it just seemed a lot safer too for me to raise my son. I knew I didn't want to raise him in Queens because of some of the things that I've seen and
hmm
experienced. I didn't want him to do that.
same way. And I'm big. I'm big. I love my city to death. Newark represented to the day that I die. It's
Mm,
gonna always be home. But that was always my mindset too. Like even growing up, like once I have kids, once my oldest son, we found out we was having him.
mm,
It's like, okay, where are we going?
exactly.
Cause I had already made up in my mind in high school. I was like, once I leave the state of New Jersey, I'm never coming back to live. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like it's like once I'm gone, I'm gone.
that's
Now
it.
I'll come back
Yeah.
and visit, but I'm never gonna live there again. And now I'm so far removed from it. It's like I can't even imagine living in Jersey on a full time basis. The
Me
way
either. I can't
these
see myself
prices,
getting on the bus.
yes,
And
it's
then I
like
can't see myself even driving in Queens. I'm like, the streets are so narrow. Like, how am I drive down there? I can't drive
park.
there.
You gotta deal with parking.
Yeah.
Park
I
four
mean,
blocks away from your house, and like
and
it's
then you
just
have people that just don't care and they're double parking. I'm telling you, just for the 2 days that I was in Queens, I'm like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here. This man is parked illegally. I'm like, this is not cool.
yeah,
But then just that quick, how I forget how things are because this was the norm.
yeah,
You waiting for the bus every 15 minutes. It could be a blizzard outside. Buses still, they're still going. Getting on a train, I think I would get on like 3 trains just to go to work.
yeah.
I can't even see myself getting in a crowded train, seeing a naked man jump up and down on a train for money. I mean, looking at the platform to see if the train is coming. You feel that wind, like, okay, the train is coming.
Mhm.
I can't see myself doing that anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely an acquired taste to live in New York. I've always said that I went home for my cousin's wedding in last October, and I was like, I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna see the city, and like you say, maybe that third day, like,
It's time
okay,
to go.
this experience has been highly overrated. Thank God for the wedding, and the wedding was beautiful. I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm paying for parking, and they telling me, well, you got everything you need. What you mean you about to take my car, but I won't have access to my car, and I'm paying
Nope.
$60? Like, are you serious? No, I need
You
access.
had to pay 60. That was good for you. 60 was
Yeah,
good.
absolutely crazy. I can't believe what I'm hearing, Marvin. I thought you were ride or die when it comes to North. I am. That's how I open
We
up saying
still are. I'm Southside Jamaica Queens to the end.
yes.
I'm
I
telling you.
can't live
But
there
do
again.
I want to be there?
Yeah,
No.
absolutely. Like I said, I'm looking forward to going home in that week. And I think that's why it's so much fun visiting now because I know I don't have to stay.
You don't have to stay. I'm like, okay, nice to see you. Bye.
It's just too expensive for the headache, so to speak.
Exactly.
Like when you get used to living in the South, it is such a cool, relaxed way of living. Because I find myself even when I go home, once I cross the Pennsylvania Bridge, I
Mhm.
start finding myself as I work my way up that turnpike. I start feeling that
That
okay,
anxiety. It's
you got
like,
to get back in that mindset, like you know what I mean? Because if you sit here at a light thinking about being in North Carolina or South Carolina, you're gonna be sitting there all day. You have to hit the switch mentally that you're
I
back
was
home.
telling my son that I'm like, look, don't be looking around. Don't be looking at nobody. You keep looking forward. Don't talk. Let me talk.
Yeah,
You don't talk.
this
Okay,
is
just
not
keep looking
South.
forward. Don't be asking. Don't say hi to nobody because they're gonna think
Mhm.
you're selling something or they want you. You gonna want something from them. Don't talk to nobody. He's like, do I need a weapon? Not yet. You'll be all right. Just keep looking forward.
Not a weapon. And Tam said, "I'm gonna be ready."
It's like, what do I need? Like, just be quiet.
But it is a good experience because it teaches you just the difference in different ways of life. And I always try to tell people, people in the South. I was having this conversation literally this morning at work. One of the things that always bothered me because all my family is from the South. I was like the city boy cousin,
Mm.
so to speak. So it was like when you would come down here, oh, you one of them. The coach said I can't do the country life.
You'd be surprised what you could do. I'm telling you, you spend a week down here, you may not want to go back.
God forbid you're able to transfer jobs down here and make the same thing that you can make up
I
there, down
know
here,
that's right.
and live like a queen.
Exactly.
What took me so long to get up out of here?
Woo. The homes alone, what you make up in New York,
Oh
you
my
can
god!
live like a millionaire down here.
Yeah, you going to look size and put an ads in the table for butlers and house cleaners and
I'm
everything.
telling you, your whole demeanor would change. Even your accent, she'll probably be like, "Hello, darling." Yes,
And Nicole know what she would. She gonna go Bridgerton on us real quick.
exactly. Take your shoes off when you enter my kingdom.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that I try to tell people, and it helped me understand it because it's like I got tired of people when I come down south. Oh, look, oh, you one of them. Like all people from up north think that they better than people from the south. Whereas like no, there are people like that. Just like all white people aren't racist. All like you all have
Exactly.
those in it, but overall, we don't think we just call y'all country because y'all are country.
Y'all country. You talk country. Y'all
It's not
eat
a derogatory
squirrels.
term. You know what I mean? It's not a derogatory term when I say that you're country. I have stayed down south for 1 month and can't do it. Y'all funny. I make people talk to.
That's the big thing down here. Do not step on nobody's rug with your shoes. You take your shoes off at the door and you can be free to go wherever you want.
Leave the front door open. You ain't got to lock your doors every
You ain't gotta
time.
lock your car door. Nobody trying to go in there. Just take your purse out. You're good.
Yeah, but I think, like I said, I just think that is if people understand the people, again,
Yeah.
like autism, just take a time out to get to understand something that's a little bit different than what you're accustomed to. Because
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell people in the South, particularly, we're not all rude, or just
Exactly.
because you're not,
Why do they think that?
yeah, just because you I'm from the North don't mean. So I remember when I was working at a hospital. This when I was living in Arkansas at the time, and I never forget this nurse coming to me one day, and I had started like a little Bible study group 6 o'clock in the morning before we started our shifts, and she was saying, like, one day she came out and she was like, "You really know the word, and thank you for starting this, and this was something that was needed and thing this year." She said, "But I never had spoke to you before because you're the rudest minister I've ever met in my life." And I'm saying, and
Huh?
I was such a different place spiritually, like I didn't get offended, but I said, "Well, my response was literally, well, what makes you say that?" And she said, "Well, you never speak to anybody." And I said, "You have to understand where I come from. I've seen people get shot for speaking to people that they have no idea who they are. It's just a
Exactly.
different way of life. It's not that we're rude or anything else like that there. But in the South, that's one of the biggest things that you have to get used to. Like, okay,
Yeah,
why
they're just so
are you
open to
telling me that
talk.
anyway? We just spoke. We don't have to keep speaking to each other every time we see each other.
Exactly. I don't need to know what you're doing after work. I don't need to know what your husband did to you last week. I'm sorry. I mean, and they thought of me the same way. When I first started working out here, I just stayed quiet and I didn't smile a lot because I'm like, I'm just all about my business. I'm like, I need to do what I need to do. And people were like afraid to approach me. And then when they heard me talk, they was like, "Oh, you're so aggressive."
No, we're direct
Wow.
to the point.
Yeah, I'm like, get it done. Do it.
That's it. Yeah, yeah.
And they're like, she's so aggressive. She might be mean. I'm like, I'm like the sweetest thing ever. I wear my heart on my sleeve. So
Hmm.
if you say something wrong to me, I'm like, I'm sorry and start crying. But it's that I guess that first impression when they know that you're from New York, they automatically think that you're mean, you're rude, um,
Hmm.
you are related to some type of gangbanger. You know 50 Cent,
Yeah.
you know
Oh,
Ja Rule. I'm
easy.
like, I don't know these folks. Oh, did you ever see Run DMC? No, on TV. I mean,
Just like you.
they were like, but you're from Queens. You know any people from Queens?
Mhm. Now Newark is a little bit different because granted, we got the Fugees, we got
Yeah.
Queen people, we got Redman, we got Do It All, who's the councilman of the West Ward now, Mr.
Mhm.
Kelly. We got all these different people that people know in music.
Lords of the Underground. That was
Yeah,
my group.
yeah, and it's like you can't go to the corner store, the bodega. They ain't got no whole bunch of security team like the movies,
Exactly.
all this other kind of stuff. Because at home they don't really have nothing to worry about, and
No,
it's
because
sad now
everybody
that
know
I think
you.
about it because every city doesn't even have that. As violent as Newark may
Mm-mm.
be, or maybe portrayed to be, and is at times. It's like I think it's sad that like what's the rapper name? What was his name? Young Dolph to get
Mm,
killed in his own streets of Memphis where
yeah.
he's from, and he's really just trying to give back to the community. He's not trying to switch up or change. And I think it's sad when you're trying to keep it real, so to speak, and you meet a demise of something like that there based off of whatever. I mean, like I don't
Hatred
know
and
all the
jealousy.
particulars. Yeah, and 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But when you when you give off like when real, I always say real recognize real, and that's one thing
Mm,
I used to try to explain to my drug dealer friends. Look, the same way nobody from Tupelo, Mississippi, coming to North, taking over 8th Street or whatever number block, you ain't going down the Columbia, South Carolina, posting up shop nowhere else. Like
exactly.
they, it's not happening, bro. Like you know what I mean. So real recognize real. Let's always just be mindful of. I'm late, but hello, what's good, Erica Janelle? Now, why is Erica comment over here on StreamYard, but I don't see it on Facebook?
Oh wow. I don't
I don't,
see it either.
you can't see the comments in StreamYard. Okay,
Mm-mm.
I don't know what that's about. I got to get used to playing with this thing. Pause, like Cam would say. But yeah, what's good, Erica? Thanks for tuning in. We're gonna get out of here soon, but that's what back back to the autism. So what are some of the things that like as a community that we could do to help?
Don't be afraid to say something, and
Mhm.
don't be afraid to get tested yourself, even an adult, your child. It's better to know than not to know, because you will be doing a disservice to your child and to yourself. You're going to put more of a burden on you trying to figure out what's going on, why are they acting a certain way, why are they doing things certain ways. If you see something different, something that you know that you wouldn't do, or maybe another child would do differently, just get them tested. You first start with routine checkup at their doctor's office, their PCP. Talk to their teachers, see if their mannerisms are different, if they seem like they're just not comprehending the work, or not getting like a connection with other students of their age. Another thing is if they like to be alone a lot. My son liked to be alone, and he likes to stay up in his room, and that's like his safe haven. That's his heaven.
Okay.
Not good. They need to go out and they need to socialize. So if you see that they struggle in that area, I would just go and get them evaluated.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
don't get hung up on the name. Don't get hung up
sorry,
on
what
the
you said?
name autism.
Don't give up on what?
Don't get hung up on the name of autism. I mean, it's a word, and just treat it as another word. That's your baby. That's your baby's personality. That's your baby's way of thinking. And let's see if we can get him to think along the lines of what other people will connect with.
Okay.
It's just wired a little different. That's all.
Mhm. Okay, Erica. Thanks too, Erica. You ain't have to switch though, because I want everybody to start getting more familiar with watching this show from the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show page on Facebook as opposed to my personal page. Because eventually I'm going to stop putting it on my personal page and just use it strictly that. Once I get more familiar with it and then people get used to using it. Toshiba has a question. Toshiba says, "How do you facilitate age appropriate relationship?" Good question, Toshiba.
Good question. Like I said, Tevin would not want to talk to people of his age range. He always felt comfortable with children that were like 10 years younger than him, way younger than him, or with adults. So what you need to do is get him into like, oh well, what I needed to do is get him into like certain activities where he would be with people around his age range. Try to get him to be in certain groups or like clubs and stuff. It was a fail because Tevin is all about electronics and computers, and if there was no group like that, he didn't want to be in it. Another thing is I wouldn't force him to do things that he did not want to do, because he's just going to do it grudgingly. So if you can try to find like little recreational groups of their age range, that would be good to get them to socialize better with their peers. I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
My niece. But yeah, that would help if you can get them into certain groups and activities where they're around peers of their age.
okay. And what are some of the things that we could do as far as like I said, when the community is, as far as helping the parents out, like giving you guys break, don't be, is it where we could just, hey, can I pick Tevin up, take him to the movies,
Mm.
without being afraid that you're gonna break them, or you're gonna do the wrong thing.
Trust God.
Yeah.
Trust God. I'm telling you, it's hard for me. It's hard for me now because it's like he's looking for a job. And I'm
Mhm.
like, nobody better mess with my baby at this job. They better not overwork my baby at this job. And my pastor, Elder Brian Humphrey, he was like, "You gonna have to let go, mama."
Okay.
And I'm like, "Ugh." So
Shout
and
out to Big Bro. He was still attending Brian's church. Shout out
yeah,
to Big Bro.
he was like, "You gonna have to let go. You have to let him be a man. Now you done prayed for God to get him here. You
Hmm.
gotta let him grow." So, for a younger child, get them in church.
Gotcha.
Get them in church. There's so many things for the youth in church that'll get them out there, and then that gives you a break. Like Tevin will go out with Elder Humphrey's boys. They will go out and do activities with other youth in the church. While I'm sitting at home, I'm watching my Bridgerton and I'm eating some popcorn and I'm feeling wonderful.
Yeah.
They would do stuff like that. So I would say get a good church family, get a good church home. Let them know, what he's like, what he dislikes, what to expect. I'm telling you, Tevin will leave me and go with them quicker than anything. And then I can go out, go to the movies. I can go out and get my nails and feet done. I can go out with the ladies and have a little ladies' night. It also helps when you teach them at a young age how to be in the house by themselves, what not to do, what they cannot do. Don't let people in. Train them at a young age. Don't answer that door. If somebody's at the door, call me. Call Nana and Poppy. Call Elder Humphrey or call, whoever. Somebody's at my door. Don't know who this is. You need to start training them at a young age. Therefore, when they get to like 11, 12, hey, I'm going out to go get my nails done. You know what to do. Okay. It makes it so much easier.
Toshiba had another one. She said, "Have you seen people on the spectrum have successful relationships with people of the same age who are not on the spectrum?"
Yes, which surprises me because I'm like, will he find a helpmate
Mm-hmm.
that will really be there? I met the first couple, they were one of my patients, and I can tell he was on the spectrum, and she had to keep like reiterating things for him. But the love was like so strong. So I'm telling you, when you pray, you put things in order, you put God first, God will find that right person for your child. I'm telling you, I have no doubt Tevin will meet somebody, and he's had a girlfriend.
Mm, okay. I guess that was the mama nod there.
Yeah, he had a girlfriend, and she was expensive, and but, but he was a total gentleman, and I could tell that she really liked him. But puppy love, it doesn't last. So
Are
there,
there any girlfriends that are not expensive?
hey, look, you get me a good meal. I don't need steak and all. Give me some good chicken.
Well,
But
just feed me.
just
Feed me.
food me. I don't ask for
Feed me.
much. I don't ask for much. Me a good southern slop of chicken. But no, but they will find their mate and just leave it all in God's hands. Don't try to push it. Let nature just take its course. Pray, 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 pray. Put God first. But I have seen a lot of couples and they just compliment each other. They don't see anything wrong.
Mhm.
It's just like how a woman would help a man with the bills. Maybe he's not good with bills. Well, let me take over the bills and I'll show you what I'm doing. Put it in order. Put it in order. That's how they work with each other. Okay, Tevin didn't understand something, so she would say, "Well, Tevin, it's like this." Da 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 da. He goes, "Oh." So yeah, there are really successful relationships between somebody that's on the spectrum and off the spectrum.
Mhm. All right, Steve, I see you. Hey, what's good, Shaheen? Thanks for tuning in, bro. What platform you checking out from, Shaheen? YouTube? Yeah. And when you get a chance, Rochelle, would you please holler at let your pastor know I'm trying to get him back on the show when he got
I
some.
definitely will.
Yeah, but this has been good, and shout out again to you and Tevin as well. Nothing but success. Like you guys are always in my prayers, and
Thank you. Thank you.
it's just a beautiful thing. And I'm glad you were open enough to talk about these different things because I'm a firm believer in that. Like like the word tells us that we're overcome by the words of our testimony. I think it's
Absolutely.
very very important that we don't not talk about different things that we going through that might not be easy to talk about, right?
Definitely.
Because that's the way that we overcome. You know what I mean? All right, YouTube. All right, bet. Thanks. Like I said, thanks for tuning in, man. But I think it's very important, and I want to leave y'all with a thought, food for thought, and I'll probably expand upon it either next week or the week after. I'm still not sure we're going to have a show next week, depending on how this trip go when I come back and how I decide to do that. But I think it's important for something to let people know that you are responsible. It is your responsibility to teach people how to treat you.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna say that again for the people that it might take a little bit of time to register. It is your personal responsibility for you to teach people how to treat you. I'm a firm believer that no one can do anything to you that you do not allow.
Exactly.
And I think it's very important, when we see people, well, why do they always talk to me like this? Why do they always make me feel this way?
Because you allow it.
Simple is just as simple as that. So I think we need to be mindful enough to take it upon ourselves, have enough pride in ourselves, and enough self care, self love to say, you know what? Nah, you're not going to talk to me this kind of way. You're
Absolutely.
not going to treat me this kind of way. Is your responsibility to teach people how to treat you, and you could take that as food for thought for the week. Um, I thank God for everybody that tuned in tonight. Hope everybody enjoys the rest of the evening. Did you have anything that you wanted to share or felt led to share on the wrap up on Rochelle?
Yeah, just don't be afraid of the diagnosis. Let the diagnosis go out the window. Get your child some help. Take plenty of vitamin D. Everybody, children, adults, I'm telling you the benefits of vitamin D, especially in the first trimester of your pregnancy. Ask your doctors to do a vitamin D panel. Start taking vitamin D from 2,000 to 5,000 units. This will prevent the severity or even prevent autism. They're not telling people this for a reason.
Hmm.
Be mindful of the vaccinations you give your children. If they're coming out with new vaccinations, it is not necessarily needed. Get the main ones that they've been doing since the 1920s: polio, tetanus, the Hibs, these new meningitis. It's not needed. You get your meningitis when you're young, that's it. So just be mindful of things like that because they are giving these things for a reason. I know we had hit on last time how they separate the vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So there are state vaccines, there are private vaccines. These state vaccines are for Medicaid patients, predominantly for ethnic groups. They water them down and they put adjectives in it and it can have adverse reactions. The private ones are for the people that are considered rich and they have like Cigna, Aetna, the big high class insurance. Those are the premium ones, and you mostly see them given to non people of color.
Now I wasn't gonna go there, but I'm glad you did because I think that that's very important too. I'm another person too. It's not about whether you're anti-vax, non-vax. But when we see the different things, and you do your research, and you see how over what was it, Haiti, where Bill Gates and his wife went over there and was giving all these kids these vaccines or whatever, and the autism rate shot through the roof. What's your take on that there as far as uh powers to be? Now I don't care about naming his name, and I only name his name because that's one of the ones that I know of. I'm quite
Mhm.
sure him and his wife are not the only ones. But how do you feel with these people playing with the lives of people, pretty much making us live guinea pigs and experiment with
Exactly
these?
what you said. We're guinea pigs. We're we're not important to them, so we're lab rats. Well, let's see how this work in this a black child and see how it works in a white child with maybe a stronger dose. We're just lab rats. I mean, they did it with the COVID vaccine. They went over to Africa first, and
Mm-hmm.
they started giving it to children and pregnant women. So they knew that the mortality rate was high with the fetus and some of the pregnant women with the vaccination. So, I could get in trouble for this, but I just feel like we're just lab rats. I feel like okay, they don't value our lives. So they're gonna test things out on us. We die, that's it. We
Mhm.
know to make it different. We know to make it better. We know to make it stronger, or to add this in or to add that in. And let's go back to Africa and let's go test some more people. They know they can do it over there, but they can't do it here.
Mhm.
That's why they test over there. These people, they probably offer them money. They probably offer them like a better living or something like that. They give them these injections. They don't even live to see the better living.
Yeah. And I
So,
think it's sad, and I do think that is atrocious because even when when you think about over here when the COVID, like you said, when COVID hit, well, okay, and it's like I'm not about to start a whole nother episode, but self worth is very important. Like you know what I mean.
yeah,
It bothers me when you would compromise your principles as an individual for a $25 gift card or a gas card or whatever the case may be. And I'm not saying that I'm not judging anybody, but I'm just saying like let's be more mindful of just because they say
exactly.
that something is good for you, especially those that are believers. If you have a prayer life, you better talk to your heavenly Father. Like forget
Pray.
forget what Fauci talking about. Forget what you take these things into
I mean, they
consideration.
didn't
You're
even
not God.
know the reaction that it would give off. I mean, we had Trump telling us to put light beams up our butt and
Yeah.
inhale Lysol. I mean, they didn't know what was
Pop
going
the
on.
car rocks are there, keep the cooties away.
Exactly. I mean, like, we had people that were weak minded killing other people by putting injection of bleach in their IVs,
Yeah,
thinking that they were helping them from catching COVID. So you have to be just prayerful, keep God first, consult with God. He will answer you. If you are open and have that relationship, that connection with Christ, you know what and what not to do. But as
amen.
far as like the COVID vaccines, they done made up 5 vaccines already. Now it's 5 boosters. I'm not doing that. For what? You
I
still
know
gonna
I'm
get COVID.
not. Yeah,
So just be mindful. If you have to ask questions, ask questions. Just don't go out and get something for a free turkey at Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Okay? Because that's what they do.
It's okay to have more than one source too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, just don't take the first word person for it. Don't just ask whatever pastor say go. Like, yeah, they
I
got
mean,
a
don't make
pastor.
it sound good too.
Yeah, especially if they have a hidden agenda or they.
Exactly. If they get some change, because I'm telling you, them COVID vaccines are expensive.
Mhm.
I mean, just like the vaccines for children, the immunizations, they're 150 a pop.
Wow. Now, is South Carolina, is that a state where vaccinations are mandatory?
Um, they can be if unless you get like an exemption. So you have to get an exemption form, and then you should be good. But they will keep the child out of school.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know different states like Arkansas. When I lived in Arkansas, you didn't have to have your child, and they couldn't hinder them from that. That's why I asked. I think
Mhm.
North Carolina, you have to have your. I think I'm not sure of North Carolina. I think that I don't know. I'm glad that it's not something I need to know down because my kids are grown.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, man, y'all just be mindful and get all the information that you can. Let's come together as a community and help out. If any way you part, like you said, whether it's just take them to the park or take them to the movie
Yeah.
for a couple hours to give the parents a little time out for themselves. Just
Research autism groups also. There are so many around the world, autism groups, where they will put your child in camps. And these things are free.
okay,
I'm telling you. So it helps to do your research, see what's in your community, see what's in your state. It's free service.
okay. Sounds good. Well, on that note, again, thanks Rochelle. Give Mr. Seven a shout out for me. Thanks for everybody that's been tuning in. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Marvin Bennett Jr. channel on YouTube, and please go and follow and like and share the Marvin Bennett Jr. Show on the Facebook page, not my personal page. We got that set up now, and I'm trying to get it familiar with us, all this kind of stuff. I plan on doing like future announcements or upcoming shows. All the information will be strictly on that page. So go ahead and start playing with the page, get familiarize yourself with that there. I look forward to hope everybody has a safe week in Jersey. I'll be home. I can't wait. Looking forward to seeing all of y'all. I'll at your boy sometime this weekend. Um, and Shaheem out there, y'all. I don't hope you don't mind, but y'all keep my man Shaheem, one of my co-workers, keep his family in prayer as well. His brother is going through some different things. So look, as you say your prayers, nightly prayers, make sure you shout out his little brother in the process and pray that God's will be done in that situation. Um, but as usual, in signing off, DeAndre and Lisha, know that Daddy loves you intentionally, but I also love you unconditionally. Till the next time we come together, either the first or the eighth, not sure yet. Peace.